Good Life. I'm Dean Wilson. So glad you're with us. You can find us at goodlifetelevision.org. Many of you are from all over the world. We're so grateful that you're joining us there. You can find all the long-form interviews, people from all walks of life, entrepreneurs, business executives, public servants, overcomers. We've had a little bit of everything. Young people, seniors, and really impactful people from all kind of walks of life. So we've been so blessed. We're so glad you're with us. In addition to finding those long-form interviews at goodlifetelevision.org, you can also find what we call power clips, where we kind of break up those interviews into some of the great moments. And also the social media platforms. We'd love to have you join us there. It's a great way to connect. And so we're grateful for you. We're here to talk about the good stuff. This is a perfect guest today because she's talking about goodness. Lisa Lang is with me. Lisa, welcome.
Thank you so much, Dean, for having me.
Yeah, it's wonderful. So Lisa has been an educator. She's been a theater professional, an entrepreneur, and she is the founder of Dream Big Performing Arts Workshop, and also now the founder of Spread Goodness, which is the organization, and we're going to talk about that soon. I was fascinated reading about this. In this program, we get to choose what we dwell on,
Yes.
And it's such a big choice.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the things we try to do here is dwell on the good. That doesn't mean we're not trying to gloss over anything. We're just what we dwell on is what we dwell on.
Yeah.
And so I was so excited to have you here. But start with, maybe you could, with your background, kind of
Sure.
where you came from and kind of your upbringing and so forth.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to acknowledge what you just said. Dwelling on the good is really important.
Yeah.
And you're right, it's not about glossing over anything.
Yeah.
It's about adding a new energy into the world so that we can hopefully shift and shift the balance.
Yeah.
Because we can focus on the bad and that can grow, or we can focus on
Right.
the good and allow that to grow.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
There's a great saying that says, where your attention goes, energy flows. So
Yeah.
I really believe in that.
Yeah, I think whatever you feed grows.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's true.
makes sense.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Yeah,
your background, kind of where you came from.
Okay, so I grew up in the suburbs of Chicago, where all the 80s films were made. And let's see, ever since I was a young girl, my mom sang to me, and I was brought up in the theater. So I did a lot of theater growing up. Also knew I wanted to be an educator since the age of 9 or 10.
Really?
Had an amazing 4th grade teacher that really inspired me, and wonderful teachers all along the way.
Oh.
And so I started my career both performing on stage, mostly musical theater, and being an educator in the classroom. So I taught 4th and 5th grade, and then I went down and taught the younger 4 and 5-year-olds in junior kindergarten. And out of that group, everybody said, "Why don't you marry the two, be a theater teacher?" And I said, no, it's two very separate things for me. So I kept them separate until I was given an extraordinary opportunity to teach theater at the school that I was already working at. So out of that grew the program that you mentioned, Dream Big Performing Arts Workshop. That was my first, as I mentioned in what I shared with you, I started a small business when I was maybe 11 years old, 12 years old, selling barrettes when I was a kid. But
Right.
the first real venture or business that I grew was Dream Big Performing Arts Workshop, where we offered drama classes to kids throughout the Chicagoland area. Started with 4 kids in one class and grew to thousands of kids each week.
Wow.
So
And how long did you run Dream Big?
I started in January of 2006, and we just sadly, due to COVID, closed last year. So it was a full 15 years.
Wow.
I was founder and ran the program. We transitioned it into a nonprofit eventually, and then I was actually handing over leadership just before COVID, and it was just a difficult transition.
Yeah.
So for 15 years is the short
15
answer to your
years.
question.
So thousands of kids came through
Yeah.
that program.
Yeah.
That's so powerful. That's so wonderful.
Thank you. It was
Yeah.
it was really powerful.
So let's talk about your vision for Spread Goodness. So
Yeah.
I'd love to just hear kind of why are you doing this?
Well, again, the short answer is what you talked about, that we're so inundated with negativity through so many different channels.
Yes.
You know, wherever we look, we can
Yes.
see what's not going right.
Right.
And about 2015, so 6 years ago now, I was inspired with this idea through an experience I had that I'm happy to share, that just reminded me or you know, made me aware that there has to be something else that we can plug into that actually fuels us and makes us stronger and feel good when we plug into it. And so this idea of spread goodness was kind of planted in my heart right after a very significant experience that
Well, tell me
happened
about it.
from a small act of kindness. Okay, so in November of 2015, I happened to be going through a breakup and was feeling, you know, down. Took myself and my dog on a little trip. I was living in Phoenix at the time, so we drove up to Sedona. And on the third day, I walked into a little shop in a little area called Tlaquepaque, where they had these heart stones or heart pendants and ceramic heart pendants, and they were just a couple dollars each. The clerk put on a leather necklace, and I walked out with two, you know, a red and a green little necklace for $2, but I loved them because I always love hearts. And the next day when I woke up, I was back home and feeling down still, and as a way to perk myself up, as I was putting on that necklace, this idea occurred to me, split-second idea that really was the start of all of this. I was putting the necklace on, and I thought, well, if anybody compliments me on my necklace today, I'm going to offer to give it to them. And it was just a small thought that just kind of energized me at that moment, so I went with it. And that morning, the first place I went was to my dentist. It was a new office for me. And the first person I engaged with was the dental assistant. And the first words literally out of her mouth were, "Oh my God, I love your necklace." So of course I start taking it off, and she said, no, you can't, you know, what are you doing? And I said, nope, I promised myself this is what I wanted to do at the beginning of the day. She was so overwhelmed with the gesture, which to me was just a very small gesture. She was so overwhelmed and told me about her two young sons and how she's always telling them, be nice, you never know how you're going to impact somebody's day. And it was a beautiful moment, just that. But then weeks later, when I would return to this office, I would see her always wearing the necklace. And she said, I never take it off. She said, my sister wants it, this and that. And I said, what is it about that necklace? And she said, I'm the mom, I'm the assistant, I'm the wife, I'm always doing for everyone else. This was the first time in such a long time that I felt like somebody was doing something for me. And it just captured this idea that we really never know how we're impacting somebody else.
Yeah, right.
And it could be those small gestures. It doesn't have to be grand
Right.
and something planned out. And, you know, it could be those small things, and how each one of us, and I believe that all of us are doing that all the time. We just don't hear about it. So there's so much more good in the world that I know is happening that we just don't know about. So.
Right. Yeah, the media doesn't really cover that.
Right. They
For the
might
most part.
share one story at the end
Right.
of the broadcast, and it feels good. And
Right.
yeah,
It's better than nothing.
yeah, of course.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. So that was kind of the beginning of the spread goodness idea.
Yeah, that was the beginning. I woke up a few days ago. I mean, it lifted me up. It served its purpose of, you know, me deciding that in the morning. It definitely made my day. And then a few days later, I just shot out of bed and I was like, wait, this has to be a thing. We've got to do, you know, and with I have this entrepreneurial spirit. I always feel like I can create these huge things.
Yeah.
And but I prayed on it, and because the previous work that I did it was a struggle, you know. It was a lot of work. I mean, good work, but it was a lot of work. I felt like I was pushing a boulder uphill most of the time, and I prayed on this one. I said, I don't want to do that again.
Right.
So if this is meant to be, work through me and
Right.
and support this and let me see, you know, feel the support along the way so that this feels easier.
And has that been the case?
It's been the case, in very magical ways. Absolutely.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's so true. We had a guest on here one time. He's a young man with Down syndrome. His name is John, and he makes crazy socks. His dad helped him start a company that makes socks, they sell them all over the world, and so he made these flag socks that he sent to all the members of Congress and
Wow.
the president and all this. And he was on the program, and he in just like a Down syndrome person can only do with such simplicity and purity and clarity. It's at one point on the program, when he was talking about why the patriotic socks, he started talking about what's going on in Washington D.C. oftentimes, and he says they need to stop fighting.
Wow.
They need to stop fighting. And I'm like, well said.
Yeah.
Stop fighting.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel that way with the
simple.
news. Like, I just am so beaten down by the constant drumbeat of division and negativity and fighting. And I want to just yell at them, stop fighting. But what you're doing is so opposed to that in terms of, and we'll talk about the messages behind it in a minute, but I mean, just goodness, nobleness, excellence, all the things that we have at our disposal to dwell on, when the whole world, it seems like, is shouting all this other stuff.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And so many thoughts are coming to my mind. And one is I follow a woman, Esther Hicks, and she says, she uses the word drum. The more we bang the drum of what we don't want, the more we're going to get of it.
Yes.
It's like a call, right?
Yes.
And if we focus on the good and then the other thought is, the other way of saying this is, wasn't it Martin Luther King Jr. who said, you can't match darkness to darkness. Only light will cure darkness.
Oh, right.
It's true.
Yes.
We can't fight or oppose all that. We can solve and create solutions and work together to address what's not right. But it doesn't help to
curse the darkness.
I agree.
Yeah, that's another quote. You can curse the darkness or you can light a candle.
Yeah.
And that's exactly right. I mean, we could spend all day long, but candle lighting is really what we're wanting to be about, isn't
Absolutely. And think about just a match will light up a whole room.
it? Exactly right. And it always wins. I was telling somebody that the other day. Obviously, you could have a light bulb that goes out, but I mean, otherwise, you flick that switch on, the light's going to win.
Yeah.
In a dark room every time.
Yeah.
It's like 100%.
Yeah, you're right.
So tell me about your love for acting. Okay, you were raised with that.
Yeah.
And you ended up obviously teaching a lot. But tell me a little bit about that. And so
Okay.
I know you've done some Broadway tours and different things, but talk about that.
Well, let me be clear. I didn't perform in Broadway tours.
Right.
But yeah, I did. There were Broadway tours that came into Chicago, and I would be a tutor and wrangler, or a child minder, they call it, for Broadway tours like Shrek and Hairspray and different
nice.
Radio City Christmas Spectacular, etc. Aunt Billy Elliot. But yeah, so I tutored on those shows and just always had a love of theater. My mom had a love of theater. She gave that gift to me. And ever since I was in 4th grade, she finally let me audition for the community theater shows that she was involved in. And that passion I was addicted to it. It was just something that I lived for throughout all my middle school, high school, college years, and then once I started the Performing Arts Workshop, it shifted to sharing that with others. But
nice.
Yeah,
That's so great.
I still love to sing though.
Do you?
Yeah.
Now, what brought you to Santa Barbara?
What brought me to Santa Barbara? Good question. I have to think about which answer to give you. There's a long story. And, this is actually what brought me initially. Is I was going to a conference in Pasadena back in 2014. And I was at dinner with my friend and her 2 young daughters, and I said, I want to go somewhere after the conference, just as a way, to rest after and just absorb what I learned. And the 6-year-old said, you have to go to Santa Barbara. It's the most beautiful, the ocean and the flowers and the trees. Like, she just sold it. I said, done. So that was my first trip, and I had a magical experience. Just loved it. Only was here for a few days, but it was really special. Fell in love. This just happened. This just was the place I always wanted to come if I wanted to take a trip for me. And it was on the 3rd trip in 2017 that I ended up having some extra time, and I was I took a road trip with my dog again, Elwood, and it was on that trip, within 24 hours of being here, I felt like, I think I have to be here now. I think it just captures you if you're meant to be here.
That's true.
I don't know,
So
yeah.
you've been here 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, 3.5. I moved here in spring of 2018. Yeah,
Oh, that's great.
yeah, it's a
That's
special
great.
place.
So what do you want to see happen with Spread Goodness? What is I mean, not that you have it all planned out. I know none of us do, but you have a vision. I mean,
I do.
what is your vision for it?
Yeah. Well, what we've started with, I feel like we have pieces of the vision, and but the vision is, I'd love to. Let's see. There's different facets of what I'm doing right now with Spread Goodness, and the centerpiece of the program or the platform is the Spread Goodness Challenge, and it starts with these cards that have a prompt on the back that says, do something kind and unexpected for someone you don't know, share what you've done on our online platform or log it on our online platform, and then pass this card on to the next person so they could spread goodness and share what they've done. And
so great.
every card has a unique code on it. So when you log your act of kindness and you pass it to the next person, the stories that populate inspired from that particular card will populate in a feed. So you could actually track your impact as it travels, hopefully around the world. And there's different ones. You'll notice they all have the same language on them, but they look a little different. And that's because one way to distribute the challenge is through partners. And so we brand the cards with the partners branding and hopefully get them to distribute it through their networks. So there's schools, Reiki practitioners, children's book authors, organizations, nonprofits, businesses, etc., that have partnered with us so far.
How great. So let's go over this for somebody who's watching.
Okay.
So if they're watching this online and they don't have one of these cards, what do they go to your website?
Yeah, they could. They could come to our website. We can create the cards. We could either use branding. We also have children using their own design skills to decorate their own online card that they can, share online. These are physical, meant to share in person. And we also have these little holiday-inspired cards. So there's one for the winter holidays.
Oh.
And they have a QR code on the back, Halloween, Valentine's Day. So there's ways that you can purchase cards online. But really, if you want to participate in the Spread Goodness Challenge, you don't have to purchase anything. You can just go online. We can issue you a code, and you can spread it that way as well.
Okay, so spreadgoodness.love.
Yeah, that's the website.
That's the website, spreadgoodness.love. So do something kind and unexpected for someone you don't know. Go to the website, enter the code if you have one, and then you'll be able to see a trail of kind of the acts of kindness that
That's
follow.
the idea. Yeah.
It's a great idea.
Thank you.
I love it.
So you asked what the vision is. So we have the capability, the functionality of doing just that.
Yeah.
But the vision is, right now we're working with no budget at all. And so I have an amazing graphic designer who's been able to take the branding. She's been donating her services because she believes in the vision. And she creates the designs for the cards. And then I have my friend from childhood, nursery school, who has been helping with the IT. And so the vision, but all of this has been donated services. So the vision would be to create a more robust platform and simply put, a more robust platform, because right now we have the functionality, but I think that there's a lot more to be
that you need.
That we would need
So you
to
want
make it even more engaging.
Right. That's wonderful. So spreadgoodness.love. And I was looking at these, I was saying before we came on, if we could all read like a handful of these every day, we'd probably be a lot better off. One of them says, I want to help the almost extinct animals. And one of them says, if I was president, I would stop bullying. It's, and these are from kids who participate in this summer program called Fun in the Sun, right?
You got it.
Here in Santa Barbara.
Through the United Way. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love the wisdom that can come from kids. So pure and so beautiful.
It's so natural for them.
Yeah.
And I think that it's natural for all of us, but kids don't have the layers on top.
Yeah. I was, remember Mr. Rogers?
Of course.
I mean, so Mr. Rogers they'd always say, this program was for ages 5 to 7, whatever, 10 or 5, but appropriate for all ages.
Yeah.
Because there's so much you can learn from
Yeah.
these simple things, but that's so great.
And I think, people now are going back to his words of wisdom, and I think he's very soothing for the times that we're in.
Yes.
for us
Well, there's been
adults.
like 3 movies made about him all of a sudden, and I'm like, and it's just this little simple guy,
Yeah.
that goes on the TV with the kids he ended up going 35 years or 38
Wow.
years or something, but yeah.
Yeah.
So your vision is to spread the goodness challenge, upgrade your platform a little bit so that you could do more, handle
Yeah.
more,
Yeah, absolutely.
grow.
Yeah, to grow. And I would love a team. I don't want to be the only person running it. I mean, if I really were to tell you, my dream would be to get people that I really admire, celebrities like Meghan Markle or Kristen Bell, Andy Grammer. These are people that I would love to collaborate with. So that's like the dream, to have a team of people passionate about these ideas. And I think I have the core of the vision, but I'd love to elaborate and co-create with others to see the vision grow. I don't feel like I feel like with others we could just do so much more.
Yeah, absolutely. And it all started with that $2, $1 necklace. What is it?
Yeah, $2
$2
necklace, $2 bead that I found. Yeah,
That's
in
so
a little
funny.
basket.
It's a great story.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, I applaud what you're doing. Thank you for what you're doing.
Yeah.
We're with you.
Thank
We're here.
you.
We're about good stuff too, so maybe we can work together and try to do
Yeah,
more.
I would love that. Yeah, I'd love to implement more curriculum. I've written a couple children's books that go with the curriculum.
Oh, have
and
you really?
To create a Spread Goodness series, that would be the other.
Oh, nice.
To have them published would be
And
another
how
dream.
do they find those books? Your website?
Good question. They're not published yet, so
Oh, they're not?
that's just something
Okay.
that they're written but not published.
Not
Yeah,
published.
so that's something I'm working on right now.
Oh,
yeah.
that's great.
Yeah.
Well, it's great to meet you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure meeting you too.
Thanks for what you're doing.
Yeah.
We'll see you next time.